My name is Leonard Apeltsin. I'm a data scientist living in New York, and for the past few years, I've been hunting for treasure. In the 1930s, a bootlegger named Dutch Schultz hid his ill-gotten gains worth millions somewhere in the Catskill Mountains before being brutally gunned down. His cryptic final words encoded the location of that fortune. Over the years, many have searched for the millions. None have found it. But I will crack the gangster's code and bring forth Dutch Schultz's treasure out of the darkness into the light. I've known about the Dutch Schultz treasure for years, but previously I lived in San Francisco and I didn't have the opportunity to seek it out. Now that I've moved to New York for my job and also to take part in the wonders of the city, I finally have an opportunity to find the clues I need in Manhattan in order to seek out the Schultz treasure in upstate New York. I'm in a new city and I'm ready for new adventure. In 1919, a young teenage thief named Arthur Flegenheimer is incarcerated in the infamous Blackwell's prison, which once stood over there on Roosevelt Island. There he is kept under absolutely horrendous conditions, and by the time he is released, Arthur is forever changed by a culture of brutality and violence. He is a new, much more vicious man now, and that is perhaps why he decides to give himself a new, more vicious sounding name. Schultz! Dutch Schultz. In 1920, alcohol is outlawed. The legal speakeasies start popping up all across Manhattan. There's lots of money to be made by selling beer to these establishments. So Schultz starts meeting with local bar owners, making each and every one an offer they can't possibly refuse. Buy my beer, or else I'll torture and kill you. This one guy says, nah. So Schultz hangs him from meat hooks by his thumbs. After that, no one dares say no again. And Schultz becomes the #1 distributor of beer in all of New York City. In a couple of years, he's raking in millions of dollars. By 1930, Schultz has money and power, and yet he's still a very lonely man. Then, in 1932, he meets 18-year-old Frances Gase, a shy, slim brunette who wears geeky glasses. They fall immediately in love, get married, have 2 beautiful children. Frances is a religious woman who wants her atheist husband to convert to Catholicism and give up his wicked ways. Unfortunately, fate has other plans in store. By 1933, New York has had enough of Schultz's shenanigans, and he is declared to be public enemy #1. The prosecutor wants to convict Schultz of tax evasion, as was recently done with Al Capone. That conviction will allow the government to seize all of Schultz's assets while also putting the man away for many, many years. And Schultz is desperate to protect both his money and his freedom. So Schultz comes up with a 2-part plan. First of all, he takes his many millions and buries them in a secret location in upstate New York. Second of all, Schultz figures there will be no trial if he assassinates the prosecutor. Schultz calls a meeting of the mafia godfathers who are running New York City. He tells the heads of the 5 families that he's gonna kill the prosecutor, to which the godfathers respond, "You can't do that. It's gonna bring down the heat on all of us." And Schultz answers, "Whatever, I'm Dutch Schultz. I do what I want." And then he storms out of the meeting. The godfathers stare at each other, shocked. This level of disrespect will not stand. Dutch Schultz was an evil guy, but he left his footprint on history. For instance, right now I'm at Dutch's restaurant, next door to where he was assassinated, and you see all this Schultz memorabilia. People, for better or worse, they still remember. We're walking over to the spot where Schultz and his gang met their bloody end. To the right of me is a parking lot that used to house a diner where Schultz and the gang would have dinner almost every night. October 1935. Schultz and his 3 most trusted associates are eating in the diner when suddenly 2 assassins burst through the door, firing pistols and shotguns. The 3 associates are immediately cut down, but Schultz is nowhere to be found. And that's when the assassins realize Schultz is hiding in the restroom. So they go into the restroom, find Schultz, and fire 2 rusty bullets into his belly, mortally wounding him. Schultz crawls out of the restroom and collapses on a table in this exact spot. For me, treasure hunting has always been a family endeavor. I want to share the joy of seeking out treasure with the ones I love, which is why I'm inviting my mother and stepdad to come along and look for Schultz's treasure with me. Schultz was rushed to a hospital where he spent the next 20 hours in agonizing pain, rambling on about money and the devil, while a police stenographer recorded each and every single word he said. Frances was brought to his bedside. She held his hand and cried, but she couldn't understand what he was saying. Eventually, Schultz closed his eyes and died. The next day, his deathbed ramblings were published by the New York Times. My previous treasure hunts have all ended in failure, but one must not give up. It's as much about the search as it is about the gold. Of course I want to find the gold, but the beauty of actually searching for treasure doesn't compare to anything. There's nothing else like it. We are in upstate New York, right outside the Catskills, next to a barn which once housed one of Schultz's many illegal beer brewing operations. The operation was busted by the cops in October of 1932, and they destroyed and smashed up everything.
Do you think it's a funeral car? How they used to put the coffins full of booze?
Yeah, probably. They want
Because
the car
this car does look like a funeral
Nobody's
car.
gonna check a hearse.
Oh man.
This is cool. Now check it out. There he is, Schultz. Yeah, look.
He's a handsome guy.
Yeah, if you have a light, you can light a cigarette. Yeah, so he would spend a lot of time in this area, but he would also go to about a dozen other illegal distilleries that were scattered all through upstate New York and the Catskills. And he would constantly be inspecting to make sure that the quality of the booze was right, and most importantly, that nobody was stealing from him. So beneath our feet are just hundreds of yards of secret tunnels that Schultz would use to smuggle out booze. However, these tunnels have been thoroughly searched by treasure seekers, and nobody's been managed to find the treasure. They're not here. It's not here. Yeah. So wait. Did you just see that? Oh, so this place is for sale?
Yes.
How much is it?
5.5 million.
Okay. Well, how about this? When we find the treasure, we can take some of the money and use it to buy Schultz's. Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay. Cool. All right. We have a plan. It's really amazing to be out here on this beautiful day amongst the greenery and the trees. We finally gotten away from the big city. Years after Schultz's death, the world first learned about his treasure when Collier's magazine published an interview with Schultz's former lawyer, Dixie Davis. And this is what Dixie had to say. The Dutchman kept his money in cash. One night, I was in his room, and on the table he had a big steel box, about 3 feet long, 2 feet wide. "What's that?" I asked. "To keep my money in," he said. I never saw that box again. What became of the Dutchman's wealth remains a mystery. I feel certain he sneaked out one night and buried that box somewhere. In the coming years, multiple additional witnesses would step forward, claiming to have seen Dutch Schultz with the treasure in the vicinity of a small Catskills hamlet called Phoenicia. We've arrived in Phoenicia at the foot of the Catskills Mountains. Phoenicia was Dutch Schultz's main base of operations, where he oversaw his many distilleries up in the mountains. To locate the treasure, we must first understand the circumstances in which Schultz gave his deathbed statement. Schultz, he's in a hospital room with his wife, Frances, and 2 police officers, Sergeant Conlon and stenographer F.J. Lang. And it's reasonable to assume that Schultz is trying to communicate to Frances the location of the treasure without giving away the burial site to the cops. So he's being purposefully cryptic, especially in this one paragraph right here of the published transcript, where he keeps rambling on about money, saying things like, "Come, get some money in that treasury." He keeps going on about money, payoff, over $1 million, $5 million. And then the very next sentence that follows is, "Mother is the best bet, and don't let Satan draw you too fast." This sentence right here is the key to locating the treasure. Well, Satan could be referring to the devil's Tombstone, a rocky monument located 9 miles north of Phoenicia. Today we're ready to explore the surrounding mountains. We're gonna walk the path of the darkness and check out locations where supposedly the devil has been sighted and where some seekers believe Schultz actually buried the gold. We are at the Devil's Tombstone outside of Phoenicia. The 18th century settlers who lived in these parts would see the devil in the area all the time. The ancient Phoenicians, they worshipped Baal, also known as Beelzebub, or Lord of the Flies, the devil who rules over all other devils. And there are some treasure seekers who believe that Schultz buried the treasure in this exact spot. However, I strongly disagree with this theory. This is a very public, well-known location. There's picnic tables and campers everywhere. I don't think that Schultz would have buried his treasure someplace so public. He would have been much more discreet about it.
Look what I got. For the dollar, for the good luck.
Oh,
Good
well,
luck.
it's a start, right?
Yep.
Well, at least we didn't come here for nothing.
You gotta start someplace. So I don't think the treasure is here, but there are other locations in the area that are also linked to the devil. And I think they're worth exploring for clues. There's some people that actually tried climbing up the mountain to look for the treasure under the devil's face.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but Schultz would not have dragged it all the way up there. Yeah, but yeah, this place is
Is there
definitely...
any fatality from that climbing?
Not as far as I know, but there's a first time for everything. Okay, we're gonna take another dark path, but we're not gonna look the devil in the face. Good.
A lot of hikers.
We are on the Devil's Trail, which is supposedly the hardest hiking trail in the Catskills Mountains. Schultz said, don't let Satan draw you too fast. So let's be partially drawn into the trail and look for clues.
Okay, I'm gonna look for mushrooms. And it's no fun whatsoever. And I bet nobody would bring treasure along this devil. That's it.
Mom, how are you doing?
Not so good.
Pretty steep hill.
Okay. So, I found a mushroom. This mushroom is unknown to me, so I'm gonna get rid of that.
What, is it spongy underneath?
Yeah, it's sponge underneath.
No, it's not. It's gills.
Gills.
Oh, gills. So it's probably not
Gills.
edible.
And I don't know, it may be edible, but I don't know it, so ba-bam!
Bye-bye, mushroom.
Bye-bye, mushroom.
There is no way in hell that Schultz dragged a steel safe up the steel slope. We can barely get up here while carrying water bottles. And frankly, I don't see why the hell Schultz would trust the devil with his treasure. I don't think the path of darkness is the right path for us. I think we need to consider the path of righteousness. Schultz was buried here under his birth name, Arthur Flegenheimer. Only 5 people attended the funeral. Schultz's elderly mother placed a Jewish prayer shawl on his coffin. Nonetheless, it was not a Jewish funeral, as can clearly be seen by the crosses carved into the headstone. Schultz got really into Catholicism at around the time he hid his treasure. Francis had convinced him that the power of the cross would protect his money. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Schultz had buried his treasure in the proximity of a cross. Mother is the best bet, and don't let Satan draw you too fast. And when you Google Mother versus Satan, you get the Blessed Mother, the Virgin Mary. Could Schultz be referring to a Catholic monument? Well, there is a old Catholic church in Phoenicia called the Church of Saint Francis. Not coincidentally, wife Francis is named after Saint Francis. And when we look up the Church of Saint Francis on the map right over here and really zoom in on that church, we see two roads intersecting in a cross. And when we really enhance, we can barely make out the letters B-M, Blessed Mother. Blessed Mother is the best bet. It is here where we will find our treasure. So let's examine the clues at hand.
Okay.
Okay, so the BM, the Blessed Mother on the map, is actually a topographic benchmark. But when I look at records of the benchmark from 1942, it says that it's on the opposite side of the bridge. My GPS is broken. What else can go wrong? Do you see anything on the other side of the bridge? We're looking, okay, right now we're looking for the BM, the Blessed Mother, the benchmark that was seen here in 2013. There's nothing here. No benchmark. No BM. See? It's not in an abutment. It looks fairly new.
It's not big.
No. So we found two survey markers, but we haven't found the Blessed Mary we were looking for. We suspect this bridge might have been reconstructed. Let's just take a look on the other side.
Yeah. Okay.
Victor. It says 1993 over here. So, yeah. So they ripped out the old benchmark, the old Blessed Mother, and that's why we can't find it. They put up a new one, which probably indicates that is the approximate location. So if they had reconstructed this bridge in the early 90s, would they have lifted the ground up in any way?
Absolutely. They have to put a new foundation for the bridge.
Yeah.
Since it's a construction company, they could not like hide it.
It was reconstructed at most likely nothing's here.
In treasure hunting, you sometimes come up with a theory that's absolutely perfect on paper. And then you get to the spot and you realize that you were completely wrong. But that's how science works. You test your theory with experiment, and when the experiment fails, you don't give up. You reevaluate your theory, come up with a new experiment, and go at it again. And that is what we're going to do. Да. Вот это место? Это координаты. Let's revisit our core assumptions. All right. A. Schultz buried a treasure somewhere in the vicinity of Phoenicia. B. He buried it in case he went to prison for 20 years in such a way that he could then easily retrieve it upon getting out.
Okay.
C. Rather than making his own map, which could easily be lost or stolen over the course of 20 years, he instead chose to use an existing marker on this topographic map from 1910. Previously, we had believed that Schultz buried the treasure near this church designated by the cross on the map, but it's too close to town. If we follow the horizontal line of the cross, 1.5 miles to the left, we find a different cross right here in the vicinity of the river. And it's the only cross near Phoenicia that's not in Phoenicia. And then if we follow this vertical portion of the cross north, we see that it intersects with the heel of this shoe-shaped peninsula, of this shoe-shaped geographic formation. It's a pretty easy geographic marker to remember, even if you spent 20 years in prison. You can find it by using this point of the cross right here. In his deathbed transcripts, when his wife Frances came to him, she said, "This is Francis." And he immediately started rambling on about shoes. So the evidence is in line with our theory. Victor, let's take a look at the GPS. Where are we in regards to the cross? Let's go, yeah, this is the spot, here.
This is spot.
This is the spot. Okay. So we found the spot where we believe is the treasure is likely to be located. This spot is exactly on the cross within the map. It's the perfect digging spot. It's nice and flat. It's remote enough for nobody to want to investigate it, and yet it's high enough above Esopus Creek to not get flooded when the creek gets flooded. So this is the spot that we're going to explore with our metal detector over the course of the afternoon. Nobody's going to complain that this location is not remote enough to hide a treasure. Getting a signal, yeah, in this area right here. We definitely know that there's something over here. We want to, as a baseline, we want to explore the area. Oh, whoa, what was that? Wow.
This is much better signal.
This is a really loud signal. This is... So as a baseline, we've established that there's one point in the area that gives us a strong metallic ping of something big and metallic underground, and everywhere else is nothing, or just really weak beats.
But like,
that one was the best. That was the best. That was the best signal over there. The cross. Yeah.
like better because it's.
It's the cross. Yes.
Also, it's what you mark. Landmark at the big rock.
Yeah. We're ready. Oh, okay, that was quick.
I found the source of the signal.
We found it. Okay, we know the metal detector works. I don't think this is the spot. There's roots and stones, and the signal appears to be moving. So I think it's a small piece of metal we probably dug out already. This is much harder than I thought it would be.
Okay. Let's try. Let's try here.
Oh, okay, well.
That's why it was signal all over the place, see? Oh well.
Well,
That's exactly what I said. Did I say that?
you said it. We are looking for some sort of marker on a tree. We found the remnants of a dead tree, but according to Victor, the tree died young, like Schultz. It's not old enough to hold a marker. Honestly, after evaluating the evidence, I don't think Schultz buried the treasure and the cross. Frankly, I don't think he was that religious to begin with. He was a really bad dude. And maybe his deathbed ramblings were just that. They were ramblings. He wasn't trying to give away a secret message. I think the treasure deserves to be found. If not by me, then by someone else. We should work as a community together to crack the code and crack the secrets and bring the treasure from out the darkness into the light where it belongs.
So, that was another experience.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't find anything, but it gives us an opportunity to do it again, and hopefully next time we're gonna get it.
Let's drink to the best family tradition ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got lost again, and then I blame the devil.
Maybe devil is watching over the treasure and doesn't want anyone to have clue.